What if the very habits you follow every night are silently destroying your body and turning your sleep into a nightmare? The clock struck midnight. The room was silent. Only the faint hum of the ceiling fan broke the stillness. Harold shifted on the bed, a sharp pressure pressed low in his belly. He groaned and rose carefully. The floor was cold beneath his bare feet. The shadows of the curtains swayed like restless ghosts. He shuffled toward the bathroom. Every step made the pressure worse. His throat tightened with unease. Inside the dim bathroom light, he leaned against the sink. Sweat clung to his forehead. His breath came shallow and uneven. He stared at his reflection. The eyes looking back were tired and sunken, skin pale under the harsh glow. He gripped the counter as another wave of discomfort struck. A deep ache spread through his lower body. It felt heavy, unnatural, wrong. He tried to relieve himself. The stream was weak, interrupted. Frustrating, the sound echoed sharply in the small space. A reminder that something was failing inside him. Suddenly a sharp spasm tore through his body. His knees buckled. He caught himself just before crashing to the floor. A chill ran down his spine, the kind that makes the air itself feel hostile. From the window, a dog barked in the distance. The sound rang hollow in the night. Harold's pulse quickened. His chest pounded with fear. The bathroom felt smaller, walls inching closer. Breathless with pressure and panic, he remembered the nights he ignored water late in the evening, the times he poured himself another glass of wine before bed, the snacks he had eaten without thought, the moments he remained sitting in front of the television until his legs went numb. Habits he dismissed as harmless. Now they clung to him like chains. The sound of the fan in the bedroom grew louder in his head. Thick air pressed against his ears. The ache sharpened with every second. His reflection wavered in the mirror as if the glass itself trembled with him. Harold's hands shook as he pressed them to his abdomen. The pressure refused to ease. His vision blurred. The weight inside him grew unbearable. A shadow of dread settled in his chest. The clock in the bedroom struck again. Each chime felt like a warning. He stumbled toward the bed. The hallway stretched longer than usual, dark corners shifting with each step. He reached the mattress and collapsed on its edge. The springs groaned under his weight. He clutched the blanket like a lifeline. His body screamed for rest, but his mind was alert, tormented by the sensation that something inside him was growing, unseen, unstoppable. The night outside deepened. Crickets sang in relentless rhythm. Harold sat frozen in the dim light, eyes wide, listening to the throb inside his own body, a drumbeat of discomfort, a whisper of danger that would not let him sleep. The silence pressed harder against Harold's chest. The weight inside him refused to leave. He could hear the clock ticking. Each tick was louder than the last, like a hammer striking steel inside his skull. The air in the room grew heavy. Every breath scraped his throat. His hands trembled as he rubbed his stomach. The ache had changed into a steady pulse. It felt alive, as if something was pushing back against him. Harold's mind raced. He thought of his father. He remembered how his father had suffered in silence, the sleepless nights, the whispered complaints of pain, the sudden collapse that ended it all. That memory struck him like lightning. The shadows of the curtains shifted again. The movement looked unnatural. For a moment, Harold thought someone stood in the room, watching, waiting. He blinked hard. The figure vanished into the fabric, but the fear remained. His heart hammered faster. His body shook with chills. The mattress creaked when he leaned back. It was not comfort. It was a trap. The ache throbbed harder. His breath came quick and shallow. The ceiling fan groaned above him. The sound became unbearable. It was as though the room itself mocked him. He whispered to himself. Words carried no meaning, only fragments of comfort. He told himself it was age. He told himself it was nothing. But deep down he knew. His body was warning him, begging him for change. He thought back to the evenings, the late coffee, the glass of whiskey before bed, the endless hours in his armchair, remote in one hand, snacks in the other, the salty chips, the greasy leftovers, the sugar that coated his tongue. Every habit returned like a knife in the dark. His mind pictured them clearly, a tall glass of soda fizzing under the light, A plate stacked with fried food, the bright screen of the television glowing in the dark, the sound of the refrigerator door closing with a thud, every detail sharpened as though the night wanted him to remember. Harold clutched his chest, his body shuddered with the weight of his choices. The whispers of memory became louder. They screamed in his head, "Do not drink before bed. Do not feed your body poison at night. Do not feed your body poison at night. Do not sit until your bones grow stiff. Do not drown your bladder with alcohol. Do not ignore the signs." His mouth was dry. He tasted bitterness on his tongue. He tried to swallow, but it hurt. A deep voice inside him grew louder. It was not a voice of words. It was a voice of truth, his own body speaking. The pressure inside him pulsed again, this time sharper. It shot through his spine. He gasped and bent forward. The sound escaped his lips like a broken cry. Sweat rolled down his temples. His shirt clung to his chest. He could smell the salt of his own skin. From the window, the barking of the dog returned. But it was louder, closer, almost as if the animal was warning him too. The street outside was empty, but Harold felt eyes on him, invisible, silent, watching his every move. He closed his eyes. The darkness behind them was not peaceful. It was alive. Shapes twisted in the black. Hands reached out. Faces without eyes stared at him. He forced his eyes open again. The ceiling loomed above, still, but heavy. The bed no longer felt safe. It felt like a coffin. He rose slowly. His knees shook under his weight. The ache throbbed again, stronger than before. He staggered toward the hallway. The shadows deepened around him. Every step echoed like footsteps following him. He reached the kitchen. The dim light of the refrigerator glowed faintly. The smell of stale food lingered. His throat burned with thirst. He reached for a glass, but his hand froze. The memory of countless nights filled his head. Cold drinks before sleep, the sugar, the alcohol, the swelling pressure that followed every morning. It was the same chain repeating itself. The glass slipped from his hand. It shattered on the floor. The sharp sound pierced the silence. Fragments glittered under the faint light. Harold gasped. His reflection stared back at him in the shards, broken, distorted, unrecognizable. The ache in his body became unbearable. He fell to his knees. The cold tiles pressed against his skin. His breath rasped in the silence. He closed his eyes again. This time the darkness was louder than sound. He heard every word his body spoke. 5 habits, 5 chains, late-night drinking, heavy meals, alcohol before bed, long hours of sitting, ignoring the first signs of discomfort, each one carved into his flesh, each one feeding the weight inside him. Tears burned his eyes, not from sadness, but from the raw truth. He realized the danger had been with him for years, silent, growing, unnoticed, until this night of torment. The ache pulsed once more. His chest tightened. The room tilted. He fell sideways against the shards of glass. Pain seared through his arm, blood mixed with sweat. The metallic scent filled his nose. The kitchen light flickered. The shadows danced on the walls. The house stood silent. The night pressed on. The fan hummed in the distance. The dog barked one last time. Then silence. Complete silence. But Harold's eyes remained open, staring at the ceiling, unblinking, terrified. The truth carved into him. His body was no longer his own. It belonged to the habits that had grown inside him, habits that would not let him sleep. The night stretched endlessly around Harold, but as the ache pulsed again, something shifted in his mind. Not fear this time, not despair, but a quiet clarity. He pulled himself up slowly, gripping the counter. His reflection stared back at him once more, eyes swollen, skin pale, lips trembling. But behind the weakness, he saw resolve. The truth had revealed itself. 5 habits, 5 silent chains. Each one had dragged him toward this night. And yet he still breathed. He still had a choice. Harold whispered to the mirror. No more water after sunset. No more heavy meals before bed. No more whiskey at midnight. No more endless sitting in the same chair. No more ignoring the signals of his own body. The words were not just a promise, they were survival. His survival. The kitchen was still littered with broken glass. Blood still marked his arm, but the fear that had wrapped around him began to loosen. The night no longer seemed like a predator. It felt like a warning, a lesson carved into his flesh. He cleaned the wound on his arm. He poured the leftover drinks down the sink. He pushed the snacks deep into the trash. Each act was slow, deliberate, a ritual of release. When he finally returned to his bed, the mattress no longer felt like a coffin. It felt like a chance, a fragile, precious chance. The fan above hummed, steady and calm. The shadows on the curtain softened. His chest still ached, but his breath flowed easier. The night had not destroyed him, it had opened his eyes. Harold closed them now, not to escape, but to rest. And for the first time in years, he drifted into sleep. Not the sleep of denial, not the sleep of dread, but the sleep of a man who had faced the darkness and chosen to walk back into the light.